So I guess in other words, after doing a little research, we would, as far as biracial people having the right to identify how they want to and have it be recognized as a nationwide title, we wouldn't go to the White House or the Supreme Court. We would have to convince the Office of Management and Budget, because they are the ones that approve of racial categories for the federal government. We could also ask the United States Census Bureau to, we could convince them to get involved. We can write letters to our Congress, because they, pass laws requiring new categories or protections. And then we can go to civil rights agencies. So we would not be going to the Supreme Court, and we would not be going to visit the presidents. We would not be taking a trip to the White House to have a meeting with the president. So you have to build a coalition. You need, I guess, like celebrity figures to agree with you. You need the parents of these biracial children to agree, which I think they would have no problem with that. You need mental health counselors working with your coalition. You would need civil rights lawyers and sociologists and advocacy groups, biracial advocacy groups, because that's how the Middle Eastern people got approved of their title through building a coalition that consisted of different celebrity figures and mental health people, counselors, and civil rights lawyers, sociologists, and biracial advocacy groups. So that's how they were able to get their title as Middle Eastern people, instead of having to categorize themselves in the white category. A lot of them rather they wanted to identify as Middle Eastern rather than white. So they got federal agencies involved, like they did. They got a lot of, I guess, you gather a bunch of different evidence so that you can get these different groups to advocate for you. And these groups, they go in and they do research on the topic. You would need like a demographic research, psychological research is done, community support. You would need discrimination data drawn up, and testimonies. And, so that would be the evidence that you would have to get together to take to your OMB, the Office of Management. And of course, like I just said, you can write your Congress and try to convince them about changing the racial classification to mulatto or biracial/mulatto. So really, the civil rights agencies, Congress, the Office of Management and Budget, and the U.S. Census Bureau are the people who control racial categories in the United States. We would have to convince these people that we would want to reclassify mixed race people into a new category. Okay? And so that's pretty much how you would go about doing that. So you have to gather evidence of how you've been affected, how your life has been affected, classifying as black, and how it would be benefit biracial and mixed people to classify as mulatto. You would have to gather up a lot of evidence that supports what you're trying to do, the racial classification. You would need, like I said, testimonies from people. You would need support from your biracial community. You would need evidence of discrimination, or reports written up on how you've been discriminated against, or how you feel like you're being affected only having to be labeled as black, and how this has an effect on your psychological, how this affects you psychologically. And they would, of course, measure that in, by demographic research as well. Okay? And you would have to build a coalition. You do that by, civil rights lawyers. You need civil rights lawyers to back you up. You need biracial groups, support groups backing you up, sociologists. It's a long, hard task, guys. You need the parents of these, your parents gotta back you up on it. And I'm not so sure that black men would want to do that. White women, wouldn't have a problem with it. I don't think so. I think they would be more than willing, the majority of them, to allow their biracial children to identify as mulatto or biracial. Okay, but black men, I'm not so sure how they would feel about that. So you have to build a coalition, and then you have to start a national petition, okay, which the mulatto community is doing. They've already got a petition going, and I don't think it's doing very well because black people are not willing to sign it. So this is why you got to start taking other measures, because a lot of biracial people will sign it, and then you got those self-identified black minstrel mulattoes that will not go in and sign it, okay? But you got to keep that petition going. You can use the NAACP, Move On, or Change.org to start a petition. And then you have to submit we would have to submit a formal proposal to the Office of Management and Budget, and that's the real deal when so the leaders of the mulatto communities, the ones that got these groups going, these pages that they got going on Facebook and stuff like that, they would get together with people like myself, along with other people that are in this movement, okay? And we would each probably write a formal proposal, maybe, or we would each write something and then send it in, maybe all together. Each, the group leaders could write something, a formal proposal, and that would, if the OMB accepts it, and you can write, then that means that they will make a final decision. You can submit a written proposal to the OMB. I don't know if anyone has tried to do that or not. You can provide research, some of the data on research, like some of these videos. That's enough data. Save some of these videos, save a lot of this stuff, and present that as evidence of how you're harassed, about how you identify. Public testimonies, and just that sort of thing. So writing a proposal to the OBM is like a big major step, and I don't know if anyone has suggested that or not. But you would write a formal proposal to the OBM, and they accept, public proposals, and then they review them, and then, they'll, I guess, contact you and let you know. Also, you can ask your senator or representative to sponsor a bill, hold a hearing, request a government study, or they can pressure the OBM to review your proposal. Okay? Congress can do that. So your Congress, you can ask a senator or representative to sponsor a bill, request a government accountability office study, hold a hearing, and pressure the OBM to review it. And then you can, of course, use media to create social media campaigns and host community events, and share your personal stories. So there's the biracial / mulatto community, the heads of these groups on Facebook need to get together and do some research on how to get a racial classification stamped in gold nationwide. Okay? And, like I said, the biggest step would be to write a proposal to the Office of Management and Budget, because they are the ones that handle racial categories for the entire, federal government. And also you can contact the U.S. Census Bureau and I guess make a proposal to them as well. And also civil rights agencies can get involved, okay? So, just do, and I'm sure some of you probably have done research on this. I've just kind of done some quick research. On it, and I took some notes because I went to the library today and did a little research. And basically it said, the most effective strategy, to go about taking measures in your own hands would be to build a coalition, launch a petition, which you guys have already have done, an awareness campaign, which you guys have done, submit a formal proposal again, once again, submit a formal proposal to the OMB, talk to your congressman, senator, lobby Congress for support, use the media to amplify the issue, which we're doing, okay, and I guess push for adoption in schools, hospitals, and state agencies. I don't know about all that. But these are the same strategies, the ones that I just mentioned. Building a coalition, launching a petition, submitting a formal proposal, lobby for Congress, and use the media to amplify the issue. This is the strategy that Middle Eastern people have used and the LGBT community have used to get rights going for them, okay, to get recognized as a people. The Native Hawaiian have got recognition. There is a category called 2 or more races in 2000, but we want to take this a little further. We want a racial classification. We want, I don't really, I'm cool with identifying as mulatto. I don't have no problem with it. But if you strictly want that word, or some people will fight you and say, no, we want biracial. So that's going to be very interesting. I would just probably go for maybe identifying as mixed, maybe, or just biracial, and then just calling yourselves mulatto on your own, because that's going to be a lot of issues between biracials that don't like the word mulatto and people that want to reclaim the title mulatto. Okay, there's going to be a lot of fights back and forth with that as well. So you need to draft a petition, and which you guys have already done, and write a formal proposal to the OMB, and take measures into your own hands, which you guys have done at least a third of this. So I'm wishing you guys the best of luck. I will, try to help out in what ways that I can. I'll stay, on top of the research on this and keep you guys updated on that part, because when you got people making videos talking about how Halle Berry, how she shouldn't be seen as the first black woman to win an Oscar or whatever. When you have situations like that happening, and they're saying that she shouldn't have gotten that title, first black woman to win an Oscar, or she I don't even know if that's how that happened, or let me see, I would have to, never mind. But there was some situation with Halle Berry that black people were all up in arms, because a lot of them were okay with it, and then you had others saying that, oh, well, she don't represent us, she's biracial, and she should not have been this, that, and the other. Same thing happened to Obama, where half of the black community, when Obama didn't do everything that black people wanted him to do, then all of a sudden he was seen as biracial. Okay, when he wouldn't, do things specifically for black people. I've seen throughout time a lot of comments about Obama and how he ran his reign in presidency, how it wasn't very beneficial to the black community, and then when and how he didn't do anything for black people, and blah 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 blah. Then when Kamala Harris ran for the presidency, you had at least 75%. The internet blew up. 75% of black people on the internet kept saying she wasn't black. But now these same people won't sign the petition so that biracial people can have their own racial classification. See, so the shit don't add up. It don't measure up. I think a lot of black people are just being spiteful and vindictive because they really don't like you as a people, but yet they don't want to allow you to have your own racial classification. They don't really include you in with their little cliques on the jobs and in the churches and in wherever else that you go where there's a lot of black people. They don't really click with you like that. At least that's how it's been with me my whole life. Some do. It's a very small amount of them that do. And that's just always how it's been. And I don't even really look like a lot of the biracials of today. A lot of them kind of, to me, look more like quadroons, really, because once again, they fall in that 55 to 70% range of white. Okay, so they are a whole lot more mixed than the biracials that came about in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, where most of those parents back in those days were actually in the 50, white, black, and it wasn't MGMs. These were people in the 80 to 90% range of black. Okay. And today, a lot of these biracials are parented by one white parent and one MGM. So these MGMs already are in the 30% range of white. That's why so many of these biracials that are born, that were born in the 80s and the 90s are coming in looking like quadroons. Okay, because they got a whole lot more white blood in them than what Generation X had, which is my generation. Okay. So I look more like an MGM or maybe even a Griff, because I'm very light skinned, but I have 4C hair, and so that right there kind of takes away from people as far as them looking at me and seeing the biracial bloodline in me. That 4C hair kind of ruins that for me, really. So that's kind of why I say, I'm just black mixed. I don't really claim that I'm actually, in fact, I can actually claim that I'm biracial because I'm in the 55-45 range. Okay. But anyways, getting back to the topic, I wish you guys, the best of luck. I'll try to stay on top of things and give my input and support. And I'll try to back you guys up in some of these group disputes. I would be willing to get on some of these platforms and back up mulattoes, most definitely. And what I would like to say to some of the mulattoes out there is don't ever go on these podcasts by yourself, like what happened to Mulatto Mindset. He went on one of these podcasts and got completely attacked, verbally attacked, and it was just people coming in every direction, just verbally attacking him. I would never get on one of these podcasts trying to do the battle by yourself when there's 9 other people and just one of you. I don't know how many of them were, but the way they were coming at him, it sounded like there was at least 5 or 6 to 7 to 8 to 9 of them. I don't even know, because I couldn't even make out half of what was being said because there were so many people coming at Mulatto Mindset. I felt sorry for him. And so I wouldn't try to battle this on your own. I would never get on these podcasts by yourself. Always make sure that there's going to be at least 2 or 3 people in your defense, okay, that are on your side with you to kind of help you, because otherwise you will get eaten alive when it comes to black females in particular and black men. So let me just say black people. You won't have a chance they will smother you completely out, jump all over you, and you won't be able to say a word because they just drown you out. And they're just really something. Okay, I've had to defend myself a few years back. I was in some kind of Facebook group, and this wasn't even a group based off of what racial category you want to classify as. I think this was some historical group that I was in, and some kind of way, somehow we got onto the discussion of racial classification, and I had the nerve to say that I classify as mixed race, okay? And boy, when I said that, just about every person in that group jumped all over me. I couldn't even get a word in. Every time I try to type something in defense, I would get all these people typing all this stuff, and it would completely kick my response out. I couldn't even respond because I had so many people attacking me at once. They came in swarms, okay? You would have thought that I would have killed someone the way these people were acting over racial classification. Just because I said I identify as mixed race, these people went berserk. Okay? Then after all that, I got kicked out of the group. Just kicked out. I didn't break no rules. I wasn't in there cursing nobody out. I was just trying to defend myself. Attacked, completely verbally attacked, and booted right out of the group. They are very, very spiteful, hateful, and vindictive when it comes to how you want to classify yourself. They're very, very hateful about that shit. But yet, they won't do a goddamn thing about their sons out here race mixing with everybody. They'll allow that with no problem. They'll completely allow that. But if the offspring wants to classify how they want to identify, if they want to put themselves within their own racial classification, oh, that's a problem. Okay, and they will definitely let you know. But yet, at the same time, won't do a damn thing about these black men out here producing all these biracials. They just allow them to do whatever they want to do, breed out the race, but then they will try to make that offspring classify themselves as only black and curse you to kingdom come if you don't. Okay, like they own you, like they have complete ownership on you. So I am really, really advocating for mulattoes out there to win this battle. I'm rooting for you guys. I will help in whatever ways that I can. And you guys know how to contact me on Facebook. Some of you know exactly how to do that. Do not try to get on my Facebook page because you will be blocked. But just try to contact me through the groups maybe, or message me maybe. Then we'll see about it, okay, about how we can work together. But I do not add people to my Facebook page. It's just a no-no for me, okay? So, but yeah, I'm watching things pretty closely. I'm taking notes. And, I still have a lot of love and support for black women, okay? Because, I kind of see them as, my mama. So I'm not really going against black people in general. But I just kind of feel like biracial and mixed race people should be able to classify how they want to identify. And I don't really think that that's really all that big of a deal. So I still strongly support black women. And but I will go into a verbal battle with them if they go against this movement. Okay? Because I feel that biracial people should identify how they want to identify, and I will back them up with everything that I have, when it comes down to it on that, okay? Because, living this life that I've had to live was a very, very lonely, very shitty type of life just because of my skin tone and my eye color. Okay, even though I have 4C hair, they didn't care anything about that. I still got treated as an outcast and still am being treated as an outcast. I have black people that will walk right past me as if I'm not even there and speak to a person that's either right behind me or right on the side of me or in front of me. I've seen this on several different occasions. They will act like I'm not even there. Okay, this has been going on since I've been old enough to walk. They completely will ignore you. They'll shun you. They'll act like you're not even a part of the team. They will act like you are some different race, won't talk to you, won't have a thing to do with you. But you try and call yourself mixed race and you're going to see their ass. And I don't get it. I just do not get it. And I'm not saying that all black people act like that. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that a whole lot of them do act like that, okay? And then there are a lot of them that do support biracials having their own racial classification, okay? But the way I've been treated when I have never even done anything to black people has been interesting. And I know it has everything to do with my skin tone and my eye color. I know it does, okay? And I'm still being treated like that, and I'm in my mid-50s. And I'm still being treated like that. So this is why I stand behind the biracials out there, full 100. Because I know what you guys are going through. Okay? And you have my full support. And that's pretty much all I wanted to say about that. Thanks so much for listening.